Are you ready? Can Crushers. It don't really get no better than this the podcast that you're looking for if you're really heavy into wrestling. Hosted by the Mark. Energy that's so amazing. Gotta keep it entertaining. Rep the Can Crusher Nation. Yeah, you know what's going down in the ring. Lights out when you hit a ding ding. Knock 'em out like boom bada bing. Hold it down, you can crown me the king. Got a shout out to the Miz and Duke the Dumpster. We choke slamming everybody. Power driving, hit 'em with a face buster. Yeah, this the show you need and it ain't no need for waiting. Mark, hold it down for the Can Crusher Nation. All about wrestling and keep it entertaining. Can Crushers Wrestling Podcast. Time to break 'em, let's go. Yeah. Can Crushers. Yeah. Can Crushers. Let's go.
Hey, this is Baby Doll, your perfect can. And if you wanted to listen to some wrestling talk, listen to the Can Crushers.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another Can Crushers Wrestling Podcast. I am your host, Mark the Mark Martinez, and I hope you had a lovely Thanksgiving, first day of Buck, shopping, Cyber Monday, all that stuff that everybody does over this crazy weekend that I just had and you guys just had too. So, yeah, just getting back from WrestleCade, and a little promotion quick here, guys. If you've never been to WrestleCade in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, make 2024 your year to get there. And I'm talking to wrestlers, referees, promoters, merchandise people, fans. It is just the best con going today. 3 action-packed days of stuff. And Winston-Salem welcomes us crazy wrestling fans in each and every year. And you get to meet cool people. Besides the wrestlers and everything, it's just an unbelievable experience. Literally got home a couple hours ago, sliding right back into the spotlight. So, yeah, that's my little self-promotion. You guys know you talk about it all the time, all year, how excited I was to go down again this year. But that's not what we're here for. We're here for a spotlight. We're going to be talking to the king of commentary, Justyn Caballero, JC, our buddy. We hooked up from past Can Crusher guest, our buddy, the Cardinal, Nick Thompson, hooked us up. So shout out to Nick there for doing this. I'm excited because I don't get to talk to a lot of commentators or ring announcers or anything like that. So let's make that change for the year of 2024 too, because listen, I love nerding out about some technical stuff that we can talk about, or what we see behind the desk, or what we're trying to do for story modes and storylines and all of that going forward. So this is going to be a cool interview. I'm going to probably nerd out a little bit with Justyn. So yeah, I want to get right into it. But of course, we have to do our due diligence. Guys, 2 new shirts released from Collar and Elbow. Make sure you check them out. And then when you buy them, of course, use our promo code CANCRUSHERS. Head over to collarandelbowwrestling.com. Buy. In the promo code CANCRUSHERS. All one word, smash it together. Use the capital C in Can, capital C in Crushers, and you will save yourself 10% off your entire order. We also have the WWE affiliate code. It is on our Facebook, on our Instagram, on our X, Threads, I believe I put it on. But it's in every show note. So if you're listening to this interview with JC, go to the show notes, you'll see WWE affiliate code, and it helps support the podcast. So listen, Christmas is ticking right around the corner, and you'll be able to get some cool stuff from WWE shop. Listen, we're very transparent on here. We tell everybody from day one. Sometimes you'll get a discount on some stuff. Sometimes you won't. It's just whatever they feel Can Crushers is eligible to do a discount. But if you're going on there, and I don't know, guys, I really don't know. If you're going on there for the new CM Punk shirt out there right now, and you want to help support Can Crushers, use our affiliate code. If you want to buy a Sami Zayn shirt, you might get 5 to 10% off. It's a crapshoot, But we're transparent. We're not going to tell you you're going to get a discount all the time. You're not. And you're not going to with affiliate codes across the board. We just want to tell you that up front. But use ours, help you support us, is what I'm trying to say, in Can Crushers. Where can you find us? Well, I just named them. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, X, Threads. Oh, we're there. We post, join the discussion. It's really cool. Where can you listen to us, though? Pooh-wee. Well, wherever you're listening right now is clearly your favorite, but we're also available on Spotify, iTunes, Alexa. We're on IMDb, Boxcast, Podchaser, and the list continues to go on and on. Buzzsprout, and I'm not going to sit here and name them all, but there is one more that I do have to name, and it's Podurama. Because Podurama right now, 50% off a lifetime membership. When you download the app and buy the lifetime membership, you get 50% off of it. And that's really cool. Because what Podurama does is it syncs everything together. If you start listening to Can Crushers or any of your other favorite podcasts besides the Ringside podcast on your phone, I'm kidding, Daniel Spencer is amazing, on your phone, and then you transition to in your house and you're going to pull it up on the laptop or your normal PC or your Alexa or whatever device that you're going to use that you have Podurama on, boom, wherever you stopped off, you'll pick right up on that other device. It just syncs everything awesomely. So go out and use that. It's really cool. Again, 50% off of that lifetime membership right there. And if you want to be on the show, you can DM us on any of the socials that I've already mentioned, or drop us an email at cancrusher69@gmail.com. Be like JC. Be like Nick Thompson. Be like Tiffany Avatar. They've all reached out, and we had amazing interviews. And I'm really super excited for this one right now. But you'll hear from Al Snow first, and then the king of commentary, JC, will be joining us.
Wrestling. A love and a passion we all share. I've started a wrestling brand. The wrestling brand. A brand founded on the aspects of wrestling. Two entities working together to create a product that connect emotionally for people everywhere. Collar and Elbow is the brand. Passion and love for wrestling is the drive. I am Al Snow, and this is Collar and Elbow, the wrestling brand.
Hey, this is the Cardinal Nick Thompson. I loved being on the Can Crushers Wrestling Podcast, and I hope you guys loved listening to me. If you want to listen more, keep listening for future episodes.
Welcome back to Can Crushers, guys. You heard how excited I was to talk to JC here on the show. Man, I don't get a lot of commentators because they're scared of me. No, they're not scared of me. We just love talking. We talk all the time. So, welcome to the show, JC. How the heck you doing?
I'm doing great, Mark. Thank you so much for having me. I've been looking forward to this for a long time.
That's a little stroke on me. Thank you. You're patting on. Somebody never looked forward to coming on the show. They're like, oh, I know you wanted me on, but you were actually looking forward to it. That's awesome.
Absolutely. I heard you don't get many commentators, as you were saying to me before, so this is a great opportunity, and I'd love to be a part of it.
Yeah, we can. I'm sure the banter is just going to go, because we'll probably get into storylines, this, that, or the other, so... But let's find out, do the whole rewind as we did on everybody else's. Like, how did you find wrestling? Was it Mom, Dad, Uncle Joe, Aunt Sally? Like, we all find it a strange way.
So what happened was my father is a huge wrestling fan, and I grew up in Queens, New York, and my father was surrounded by ECW in the day. They would go to the Elks Lodge in Queens. So that's where my father was all the time. There's actually a home video of me as a young kid just sipping on my sippy cup, watching WCW from like the dying days of the company back in like 2000. So yeah, man, my father got me into it. And ever since then, it's been full speed ahead. I've always wanted to be involved in wrestling. I would go to all the independent shows in my location. And oh man, it's just such a spectacle to see in person. And now to be a part of it, it's just a dream come true. So wrestling is my passion. Wrestling is my life. And my dad got me started on it.
Once it's in your blood, it's like and it's a good sickness, by the way. But isn't it a sickness?
Oh, absolutely. But it's the best one to have.
I agree. You kind of, you swerved me there for a minute because you were like, I was sitting there with a sippy cup and I thought, oh my God, your dad took you to an ECW show when you had a sippy cup? But then you brought up WCW. I was like, okay, you almost gave me a heart attack there for a minute.
No, imagine a young kid like me back in the day going to ECW, the pandemonium that took place there. My dad knew better than to take me to a reckless event like that.
WCW dying days, though. What's kind of your first memory of those dying days? Which they were rough. They really were. But there's still some good stuff from those dying days.
Well, of course, NWO 2000, that was a thing, unfortunately. But, I remember that. Jeff Jarrett, I really actually enjoyed him being in WCW. And, I know not a lot of people like him in WCW. They remember him for his WWF days and all that from back in the day. But I appreciated what he did. And, of course, I remember Vince Russo. I mean, what he did to the company broke my heart because, WCW, believe it or not, was the first company I started watching before WWF. And then, my father became, both sides. He really played both sides of the fence. He didn't have one favorite. He played WWF sometimes, WCW. It was always back and forth. And just being a part of that, even though it was the dying days of the Monday Night Wars, so to say, it was just so awesome to watch. Being a kid like that and seeing these big guys that you think are like absolute celebrities on television, just fighting for each other, fighting for the gold. It was such a thrill. And I still get that thrill today. Sure, wrestling has changed throughout the years, but wrestling is wrestling. And you're either a fan or you're not. And I still love the product today, and I love that I'm a part of it. And I love to bring, wrestling to life behind the commentary table and as a ring announcer.
We'll get to all of that because so many questions there. But your story is kind of the same way, that you guys watch WCW over WWE. My end was my grandfather introduced it to me, and for some reason, I mean, listen, you're in New York, I'm in Pennsylvania. We only got NWA at the time, which boggled my mind that like WWF at the time wasn't on in Pennsylvania much. I know it was on in Pittsburgh and bigger cities and everything, but around here we didn't get it. So we were always getting the TBS, and that's where my grandfather kind of got me into wrestling there. So I'm always NWA first back in the day. Then I trickled in after, Hogan has made wrestling what it is today. Then WWF started coming around to every channel, and listen, it's thanks because of Hogan, right?
Of course.
Yeah. As much as the person of Terry and all of that, that's a different subject. But the gimmick of Hulk Hogan, listen, we wouldn't be doing this podcast right now if it wasn't for him, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Hogan revolutionized wrestling. He brought wrestling to pop culture.
Right. So who are some of your favorites then, kind of growing up, watching WCW, kind of transitioning over to WWE as well?
Okay, so growing up, I always liked the Macho Man Randy Savage.
Yes.
I know Hulk Hogan always at the top of the pinnacle, but for me, man, it was always the Macho Man Randy Savage. His promos are just unmatched, and his in-ring ability, he knows how to bring wrestling to life. That voice is just so, it's in everybody's mind. If you can put that Macho Man impression on anything, people are automatically going to recognize it. So Macho Man is one of my favorite legends of all time. I am also a Bret the Hitman Hart guy. Sorry to HBK fans, but I love Bret the Hitman Hart. And among others, I'd say growing up mostly in the Ruthless Aggression era, because that's more what I remember than anything, Rey Mysterio is my all-time favorite.
Rey's amazing. Still doing what he's doing now. I love your other two as well. Macho is... I have a tie between Macho and Owen. Like, I cannot pick one or the other. So there's always 1A and 1A, essentially. But you're right.
I hear you.
If you put Macho Man's voice on a mattress, us wrestling fans are going to go buy that mattress, right? It's just whatever he promotes.
Can you imagine laying on a mattress and it says, "Oh yeah"?
See, the mind just goes random places. But yes, you're right. Did we buy a lot of Slim Jims before he said snap into a Slim Jim? I think it was a dying product. Now,
Slim Jim I didn't even know of until Macho Man was exploding through the doors with one.
right?
And now those Savage size editions are just, I have a ton of them.
Wait. You eat a ton of them, or do you have them saved?
I'm not going to lie. You may think I'm a little weird. I have one saved, but I have eaten the rest.
No, saving one's okay. I thought you just like, oh my god, they have the teriyaki flavor. I have to get this new. Like you have a whole line of Savage sizes pinned on your wall. That would have been a little weird.
Oh no, absolutely, yeah, no, that's not my cup of tea. I'll take one because if it has Macho Man's face on it, then yeah, I'll take one.
I always wanted like our Sheets, which is I'm sure you know what a Sheets is, but other people, it's our little convenience store around here. They have the Macho Man holder, that the Savage sizes comes in. I always ask them, hey, can I buy this off of you guys? Can I steal it when you guys aren't looking? Like I'm telling them. And they're like, no, so one of our coworkers already has. I'm like, And if you look for those online, not that I want to sell it, I want it for my own, as my wife says, junk collection sometimes. I just want it to sit in a podcast room. Never to put a beef jerky stick in it ever again, but just to have it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's like got to be a one-of-one collectible in the collection. I'm a big collector myself, so I totally understand.
What's your number one piece? This is going to go off the rails, folks. This is two commentators and ring announcers talking. So sit in and grab a beer, grab whatever, and then it's not going to be the normal interview. But what's your number one prized possession?
Oh man, my number one prized possession. I actually have a replica Winged Eagle belt, the classic belt, signed by Bret the Hitman Hart and Shawn Michaels and Sergeant Slaughter. My goal is to get every title holder that's living and well, of course, to sign that belt.
That's amazing. That is really cool. Yeah. Nice.
I was worried personally of how Bret the Hitman Hart was going to see that I got HBK signature, but he didn't bring any mind to it. He just signed it, took a picture of me. He was awesome to meet. Really nice guy.
We're sticking and staying with this Bret thing. Listen, I'm on your page as well. I love Bret more than HBK. Whose fault was the Montreal Screw job? Or, was it a work or was it what? What's your thoughts on it?
Man, that's got to be the question of the night. So
right, yeah, I know. But
the Montreal Screw job. First of all, what a spectacle that was in wrestling history. That night was unforgettable. I gotta say, I don't think it was storyline. In my honest opinion, I can say that it was 100% legit. I think Bret the Hitman Hart got quote unquote screwed out of his championship, and Vince McMahon just didn't want him out of fear to bring it to WCW, which he knew was his planned destination anyway.
Right.
So, that's just my take on it. I know Vince McMahon's a big in business, and if I were him in his shoes, I would understand. But the talent that Bret the Hitman Hart is and the loyalty he had to his company, I just couldn't see Bret the Hitman Hart doing that to the WWF. I think he would have done business and done it right.
The next night, I always feel the next night you could have had something happen that Bret loses at the next night without it happening in hometown, Canada, whatever. I don't even remember where that next Raw was, essentially. Just have them drop it there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
As I said, that's a big piece of wrestling history, and it's just unbelievable what they did to him after the years that he put into WWF. And, oh, man, what a way to go out.
But years later, he gets the working relationship back again with WWE. They shake hands and kiss. And let's stay on a hot topic there for a hot second. That's kind of the way it is nowadays with the return of CM Punk this past weekend on Survivor Series.
Unbelievable, right? Who would have thought that we'd ever see CM Punk in the WWE landscape ever again? I'm like everybody else. I saw the pipe bomb live. Actually, I was younger back then, so me and my mother were watching it together, and me and her just gasped at everything this guy was saying. saying that, oh, this company will be better when Vince McMahon's passed or whatever, even when he's dead. I'm like, how could you say that on live television?
Right.
But as they say never. Wrestlers always find their way back to where they got their name and got their start. Not that CM Punk got his start there, but that's where his name grew into a household name. Yep. And it's just unbelievable. When I heard that Cult of Personality opening riff, I jumped off my couch. I didn't know what to say. I was flabbergasted. I'm like, is this really happening? Did we get 2 returns in one night? Randy Orton and CM Punk? This is like 2013 all over again.
It really was. I thought the same thing. I had just left, the night of WrestleCade, and I'm like, all right, get back to the hotel. I wasn't planning on watching it. I'm like, well, it's like 10 o'clock or so. I'm like, they're probably in the last main event. Stuff has already happened. I'll just put it on to go to sleep till. I was dozing, JC. I was dozing. I don't know what happened in the match. All of a sudden, all right, good night, folks. I'm like, nothing's going to happen. I couldn't find my phone. And then, and I'm like, no way. Yeah, I marked out in a hotel by myself.
The element of surprise that has long eluded us for years, it's finally happened.
Yeah. And then you get to see the picture kind of the next morning I did of Trips and Punk just pointing at each other. And I'm like, well, that is definitely the never say never moment, because I thought Trips was kind of the one behind him and Punk having that feud of leaving and all of this. I mean, there was just so much that came out, but it's awesome.
Who would have thought you would see a picture of CM Punk with Triple H and both smiling nonetheless? I thought we would have seen it in the ring in like a real shoot fight. But,
yeah.
But nonetheless, here we are. This is real. Pinch yourself. You're not dreaming.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So how do you work your way back to you now? Sorry, that was
no worries.
Hot news. How do you get into commentary and everything? But wean us through like the high school years. Were you training to be a wrestler ever? Did you ever want to get in the ring, or were you like me that always had Tony Schiavone? I always wanted to be Tony Schiavone. He's my number one. So give us that story.
Okay, so growing up with wrestling, yes, I had that big dream of, oh man, I'm going to get in the ring. I'm going to win a championship. I'm going to be a big superstar. I played football. I did the training and all that. But just, when I see the risk that these men and women in the ring take with their bodies and all the stuff they go through, it's just like, do I really want to put my body through all that? Or can I use my talents in another way in professional wrestling? And to be honest with you, I didn't even think of being a commentator at first. I thought I was going to be a biochemist, which is just completely opposite direction.
Yeah. Hello, Mr. Nerd. How are you?
I really had a big passion for biology and chemistry at that too. Chemistry was more hard, and I very much preferred biology, but my passion for wrestling overtook that, and I wanted to be a commentator. So how I pursued that was, believe it or not, I got in touch with a friend of mine through an independent wrestling show. Me and my friend went to a GCW show. And there I got to talk to a man named Referee Ryan T. He's worked for GCW. He works for UWA Elite with me. And he had taken my information because I told him, look, I'm trying to get involved in commentary. I want to do wrestling. I love it. It's a passion of mine. And he passed it along to a few companies. And long and behold, the next week, I got information saying like, hey, this company needs a commentator. You want to step in? I said, absolutely. And that's where my career kicked off, was in UWA Elite in 2019. And ever since then, it's been full steam ahead, man. I've gone multiple places. I love what I do. UWA Elite, it's my home base. I can't believe that it actually worked out like that, all through networking with a referee that I didn't even know. And apparently, further down the line, I found out he was brothers with my high school gym teacher.
Small world, right?
Wow. No, yeah, unbelievable. So I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. I had no idea. So yeah, that's how it really started for me, was networking with this ref. Great guy, by the way. Shout out to referee Ryan T.
So and I'm not saying this mean at all. no college experience of, like me over here, communications degree or anything like that. You don't have that. You have no, excuse me, radio or anything. Maybe I am losing my voice from WrestleCade all of a sudden.
It's funny that you bring that up. So here's the next part of the story. So after I became involved with UWA Elite on their commentary team, I really wanted to up my game. So I went to college, and I started with Seton Hall, and I was their assistant producer for their radio station, WSOU. And at that time, we were the number one college station in the nation. So it was unbelievable. It was a great experience, just picking up the phones, taking down sweepstake winners, putting them in the log, and, getting that experience on radio. But eventually, I actually had backed out of Seton Hall, and I took my talent to Full Sail University, because there, I'm not going to lie, NXT being there was a huge factor in me going.
Yep.
But also, they have a great sportscasting program. Dan Patrick from ESPN.
Yeah, that's a nice name to have in your back pocket.
Oh, yeah, Dan. I worked with Dan Patrick. I worked with Fox Sports analyst Jeff Radcliffe. I worked with Mike Tirico, who's probably going to be doing Monday Night Football tonight. So I've had great teachers, and they really helped me up my game. I had graduated last year with a bachelor's degree in sportscasting.
There you go. From biology to sportscasting on a whim. And I'm not saying a whim because it's just a crapshoot, because you are doing what you love, but it was just that quick, right?
Oh, yeah. It was all meant to be. It worked out so perfectly. And, exactly how you said it, from biochemistry to finding my true talent and my true passion in sportscasting. That's how it all started.
Did you, before you got into wrestling at colleges and anything like that, did you do baseball, soccer, basketball, anything like that as well?
Absolutely. I was a football player and a track guy, more the shot put part, not really more the running, because I'm a big man. I won't lie about that. But I was a lineman for football. I played offensive guard and defensive tackle.
Nice. So you meet the ref, you get in the door, and before you actually do your commentating, do you get a little bit of, hey, this is what's going on? Do you sit for a show? Or, like, I kind of sat for a show when I started back, and just to see the guy that was leaving, to kind of see the ins and outs, or were you just thrown into the fire? Because when I've worked with a couple organizations, they're like, oh, you're here? There you go. Dude, I don't know anybody on your roster. Too bad. Get going.
So when I found out that I had got the gig, I did some studying. I went on their website. I looked at their roster. I looked at the card. I looked at the guys, all their stats, their title histories, everything like that. But I was thrown right into the fire. I was just commentating right then and there. There was no sitting for me. I just got to sit at the chair, and I got to talk in the microphone with two commentary partners at that time. And it was just, wow, okay, this is it. This is what I'm doing. I'm jumping right into it. And I won't lie to you, the first show was always the funniest to me, because that being my first experience, I was so low. Like, I was in my conversation voice. You could barely hear me on the final edit of the show. And it was the funniest thing. I'm listening to this, and I'm like, where am I?
And you know better. You know better already after a degree, right?
Oh, gosh, absolutely. There was it was just, I'll admit it. Like I said, this was before I got into college. So this was like, what am I doing? This is so bleh. This is so monotone. What am I doing? But then, thankfully, college came along and the experience came along, and I got to go to work for multiple companies now. And now there's energy behind these calls. There's passion. There's everything that I can put into it. I don't want to say mimic, but I like to incorporate Jim Ross's style into my style and, bring that wrestling to life. Yep. Be a fan, so to say, because if you just say, oh, snap suplex, like I just did there, it's terrible. But if you say, snap suplex, you know what I mean? Up it up a little bit. Make it energetic. You have to be a fan because that's who you are in the first place. You're here because you're a fan. You enjoy it. Bring it to life. Exactly.
That was actually going to be my next question. I always compare wrestlers listen, I'm going to fourth wall, you win, the Cardinal, Nick Thompson, good buddies, best friends, whatever you guys want to see. We'll knock on him here in a minute. But I love you, Nick. But I always compare wrestlers to like three people. Who do you compare yourself? Clearly JR, because the wrestling business, we borrow, beg, or steal from everybody. So who are your three that you kind of made yourself in your character be?
Okay, so with me being JC, I'd like to defend myself because there are some commentary heels that I work with that can be real jerks sometimes. For instance, I work with a guy named Cypress over at UWA Elite, always nagging on me because I'm the youngest at the commentary table, always asking me, do I even have an ID to drink?
Nice.
So the three people that I would say I take from mostly is Jim Ross being one of them, Gorilla Monsoon,
Nice,
and Mean Gene Okerlund.
What do you like doing? I love those three, by the way. Yes, those probably all of them in my top. I have a horrible way of listing people. Like, I love everybody is the way I do my list. Like, Tony Schiavone's on there for me, Jesse the Body, Savage when he was announcing. So, yeah, I never have a favorite because it depends on what crowd I'm at or what organization. I love being the heel. So even now, I don't mind grabbing stuff from Corey Graves. So that's always fun. I think Graves is underrated. I think some people don't like him just because he's a heel.
No, yeah, absolutely. A lot of props to Graves. I think he's one of the better heel commentators of the modern day wrestling business.
Agreed. What do you like more? Because there's two different things. There's ring announcing and then there's commentator. What do you personally like more?
Personally, I think I'd have to say commentary a little more than ring announcing, because commentary, they're more exposed to my voice, that being the audience that's watching the show and listening. And not only that, but I like telling stories. Growing up, I've always had a journal. I've always wrote action stories. I always did this and that. And being able to tell the story of the two men or woman in that ring, it's just awesome to me because this is everything I've ever dreamed of. You know, it's a big step for me. And like I said, man, commentary and being the so-called Jim Ross, or that's actually how I got my JC name in dedication to JR, Jim Ross.
Oh,
so,
nice.
yeah. So, yeah, I mean, being able to tell stories and bring them to life and bring people the action and keeping them invested in the program is just what I love to do. So I would say commentary more than ring announcing, even though I love ring announcing too.
Yep, agreed. It's nice, like, the ring announcing for me is kind of like an off night. If they have somebody else they're bringing in, or there's a legend that comes in that wants to announce a match or whatever, and I'll take a seat, fine and dandy. And they're like, hey, you're going to ring announce. And I'm like, all right, this is cool. I get to do like 10 things for the night and peace out. My check's in the mail, right? That's cool. But you're right. I do like commentating a lot more. I like my voice as well. So I'm that heel as well. So I get you. The storytelling is, and I don't want to keep referencing WrestleCade, but I have to bring up this one more point about WrestleCade this past weekend, that it was a panel between Ricky Steamboat and Sergeant Slaughter about the final conflict that they had in the Mid-Atlantic days. And I hope you agree with me, long-term storytelling is just weak right now across the board in wrestling, commentating, for the major brands is what they were saying. Not the indies, because I don't know all the indies. But, yeah, if we can't tell the story behind the desk, they don't know it, right?
Absolutely.
That was a long-winded yes, by the way, from you. I knew you were going to say it, but I was still chatting.
Yeah, man, but yeah, I think so. Yeah, storytelling is just it can be done, but there's a way to do it, and not a lot of people can capitalize on that these days, for sure. And that includes big name leagues, or the big brands like WWE and AEW. There's ways of doing it, and unfortunately, it just hasn't clicked as of late.
Well, this was a question that I had for us. Is it because we are over, and I hate to say this, because we're oversaturated with WWE is on, if you count everything that they put out, is on 30 hours a week, essentially. Is it because of that and we need results right now because that's our brains? And that's why we don't get long-term storytelling? I mean, we're getting the Bloodline. That is the longest thing in the WWE we've had in years.
Oh, yeah.
But there could be mid-card stuff that is long-term that could be stealing the show.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. In saying that, you know, back when the Monday Night Wars were a thing, every story mattered, be it long-term or short-term. Even if it was a mid-card fight, there was a story to that fight. And, you know, you don't really see that these days. The mid-carders are, well, unfortunately treated like mid-carders. And there's no real story progression there because when people aren't invested in those characters and there's no story to them, then why should they care? You know what I mean? People have to care about these characters and the mid-carders and all that. And sure, they can like them for their athletic ability. But if there's no character to build and no storyline to keep progressing, then what are they doing? You know what I mean? Like, if I may say, just one superstar that I like that I feel deserves so much better is Ricochet. Ricochet.
I knew you were going to say. You've listened to the show way too many times because I crap on him all the time.
Oh, really?
I do, because I think he's uber athletic. But, man, I don't need 75 somersaults to drop an elbow.
That's a fair point. That's a fair point. Absolutely. Some of the stuff he does is overdone, but his ability although he could, there's a little bit of promo work that he could do that could progress his character more. I just feel like his in-ring ability is just superb.
Oh, I agree. I agree. If it
you're absolutely right.
Trim some, and I think. Listen, he should be an IC champ, a US champ, or something like that. I really do. He's not a big guy in the WWE world, by stature. So will he ever get to that Universal or the Seth even title, whatever the hell that's called nowadays? That changes every week, I think, by the way. Sometimes it's the World Heavyweight Champion. Sometimes it's the WWE Heavyweight Champion. I don't know. Not a fan of that title, by the way, JC, if you could tell. But I don't think he's going to get there unless he gets a long story.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what they did with him and what are they called? Not Jonah anymore, Bronson Reed and Nakamura. Now that was interesting. I was getting interested in that, and now it's just completely diminished since he's got wrecked by Bronson Reed.
Yeah,
it's just like, okay, well now Ricochet's back to the sidelines.
Yeah,
I like Bronson Reed,
though. too many results too fast, essentially.
Yes. Yeah.
All right, let's take a break from wrestling a little bit and kind of learn, because you leaked that out. What do you do when you're not commentating and engulfed in wrestling? Like, do you have some nerd out stuff that you do and, fun stuff?
Okay, so in terms of fun stuff, I enjoy playing the guitar. I have an acoustic and an electric. I've actually taught myself. My father did put me in guitar lessons, but guitar lessons just wasn't my thing. I wanted to learn at my own pace, not at somebody else's pace and what they're teaching me. So I did the YouTube tutorials and taught myself how to play guitar. I'm currently trying to learn Nothing Else Matters by Metallica.
Wow. What was the first song you learned?
The first song I learned. So my inspiration for playing guitar is Carlos Santana.
That's a hell of an inspiration, by the way.
Oh, dude, yeah. When it comes to music, I'm everywhere. You can find me listening to Frank Sinatra one day, to Carlos Santana, to the Lost Lonely Boys, to Michael Bublé. I listen to everything. So, Motionless in White, if you know them. I just listen to everything. But yeah, Carlos Santana was my main inspiration because, the stuff he does with that guitar is just unbelievable. He was my first concert, too. My father had taken me to Madison Square Garden to see him. So, yeah, it was unbelievable. And Carlos Santana, the first song I learned how to play was Oye Como Va.
I love Santana. I really do, too. Now we could go on and on about Santana.
I'm glad you know who he is. Not a lot of people do anymore.
Well, Santana was huge. And I don't know how old you are. I don't. And we're playing this off. I really don't. I'm clearly older than you. Yeah, Santana was not, when you were little, maybe he was on the, he still has a career, but tail end of his big career. So he was hot when I was in high school.
All right, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So.
him. I actually remember watching him. My father had his DVD, and he was playing with Dave Matthews and Sarah McLachlan and all them. So yeah, it was that one of my favorites that he's ever done is team up with Chad Kroeger and make Into the Night. That was one of my favorites growing up.
So wait, are you telling me you're a Nickelback fan too?
Oh yes, you said two. Then I can say yes.
Yes. There's not a lot of us out there.
Yeah, my heart dropped first.
There's not a lot of us out there. They get made fun of a lot. But listen, I will wave the Nickelback flag. This one's going to get us canceled, by the way, JC. People are going to like, oh, these two. Goodbye.
Oh, no, man. Nickelback is one of my favorites. I grew up with, I can't remember the name of the album, but it was a Side of a Bullet that they dedicated to Danny Dimebags from Pantera.
Yep.
That was one of my favorites. Of course, the generic Photograph song. Nice. And, among others, Animals. I know that song has terrible intentions.
The greatest intentions. I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, as me growing up, I wouldn't want my parents to hear that. I was 7 years old listening to that song. And then as the years progressed and I actually understand the lyrics, I'm like, oh my God, I listened to this?
I was rocking out at the age of 7 to this.
Yeah. I was like, wow, what is this guy doing? But yeah, no, man.
Your parents are great people, by the way, letting you listen to that at such a young age.
Dude, when I was a kid, man, I had those wired headphones and that little portable disc thing that you could just pop a CD in and it'll play inside of it and you could listen on your headphones.
Nice.
So yeah. Man.
All right. Besides music, what else are you into? Because this could go down a horrible path.
Okay, so as I mentioned before, I'm a big collector. And besides the Winged Eagle belt, I collect the WWF Hasbro figures from back in the 90s.
I love those. That's my favorite. Listen, I've had every wrestling line since the LJNs to everything, but the Hasbros are my all-time favorite ones.
Oh, dude, yeah, I love them too. I occasionally visit the flea market in my location over here, and I always find something. I love, spending like the minimal amount for such a figure that I hold to high value,
What's your favorite one out of that?
Oh man,
I know it's a rough question.
I mean, this is going to sound pretty biased, but of course I love the orange trunks Macho Man. That's my favorite.
Agreed. I love Dusty. I really did love the Dusty one. I don't know why. I mean, I could go through all of them, even the Mountie with the pullback arm, and I
have him. Yep, I have him with his stick. Yeah.
You don't have the whole collection yet?
I'm working on it. I've been also collecting. I don't know if you're really into this, but the ones that they're like making like for modern day, like the retros, I think they call them. Oh
yeah, the ones. Listen, you know why I like the Hasbros? Not anymore now, but. When I was younger, like a wrestling figure was $5. My mother would here's $10. Go buy 2 wrestling figures. Leave me alone. Go play in the woods with your wrestling figures or whatever. Now you have to take a loan out to buy wrestling figures because they're so damn expensive. I want to buy all of them. I love the whole AEW collection. I have 2. I have Britt and Wardlow, and I'm like, ah.
No, yeah, they're really getting expensive, man. What, like $25 for a figure nowadays?
Minimum, yeah.
Yeah, minimum. And then if you're buying secondary market like eBay or Mercari, it's only going to be upcharged.
Yeah.
So like, another 50% markup. So, oh man, yeah. But nonetheless, it's an expensive hobby. But I think I somewhat hold myself financially responsible. So I'm still good.
You're a better man than me. You're a better man than me. When I'm doing something with the collection, that's why I can't start collecting anything anymore. Because it's all or not. You know what my favorite thing out right now is the Funko Pops. I love the Funkos.
I have them too. Like I said, I know I probably sound like the biggest spender right now on this podcast. But
and you sell them all later on tonight.
No, exactly. Yeah, they're all going on Macari, right out of the JC collection. But yeah, man, I have a ton of Funko Pops, and I have the Sergeant Slaughter GI Joe figure. I'm not sure if you.
I do know that.
Okay, yeah. That's one of my favorites. It's the modern one that just came out from Hasbro.
Right.
So, oh yeah, that figure has everything. Like, did you ever think you'd see Sergeant Slaughter with a gun finally in an action figure?
It's about time. It's about time.
Yeah. Long overdue.
Yeah.
Long overdue.
You said that you wrote comics as well?
Oh yeah, man. I would write my own matches and stuff in my journal.
Okay.
Like, yeah. Matches, like I put MVP was like the biggest heel when I was a kid. I remember I watched him at the Izod Center, and he talked about how New Jersey just stunk everywhere you go, and he's not wrong.
Yeah, I've been there a couple times, and I hate it, but
nonetheless, man, he was just the biggest heel. So I'd have him going one-on-one with Rey Mysterio, and they had a little feud, and I would like book my own match in my journals, and of course I'd have Rey Mysterio go over because that's just how it was as a kid.
When you were doing your matches, and I'll shout out my best friend because still at the age of 47 he does this, and I did too when I had my figures. Did you line up the whole card like on your floor? I know you had them written in your notebook, but you just line up the whole card on your floor, wrestlers beside each other, and then just like grab and go, make them walk down and do the whole shtick?
Oh, absolutely. Okay. I made my own little stage with the little weapons I had. I had like 2 ladders to make the entranceway, and I'd surround them by, garbage cans filled with kendo sticks and crutches and all this random stuff I had.
Nice. I still get pictures every once in a while when he's off work and the family is, the wife's at work and the kids are at school. He's like, hey, I'm having a 1983 Madison Square Garden match, and he's got like George Steele because he still plays with the LJNs, George Steele against Greg the Hammer Valentine, and I'm like, he'll do snap pictures to me. So I'm at work watching a wrestling match, either on the back of the garbage truck or driving the garbage truck, and I don't condone any of that before anybody gets on me, but he's sending me snap pictures of him putting wrestling moves and matches together. I'm like, you should just really do this on YouTube, John, because there's people that would watch it. I swear there's people who are like, this is awesome. But
yeah.
He won't. He barely knows how to use a spoon, let alone taking good pictures.
No, yeah. I used to do stop motions when I was coming up with the wrestling figures.
Oh, so you were really technical.
Oh, yeah, man. When it came to the making them look like they're jumping off the top rope with fishing line and all that, it was my thing, man. It was my little escape, because when we've all been there. There's bumps in the road in life, and what can you do to make yourself happy? That's positive. I found that positivity in wrestling figures and making my own card. I used to cut out copying paper, and I would write my own pay-per-view poster. Make it like Lightning Strike Tuesday or something like that. And just draw in the lightning strike, fill it in with crayon and all that, and it was my escape, man. It was what I loved to do.
Did you transition this over to, because this is where I am now, did you transition this over to video games at all, that you just make your own on either 2K or AEW's Fight Forever or anything like that?
I feel like you have surveillance in my apartment.
Well, because we're all the same, and I want everybody to know that it's okay to do this. At the age of whatever you are, enjoy wrestling is what the whole podcast is about.
Hey, listen, man, I'm 25 years old, and this is just something that I will never outgrow, because wrestling's life. I'm in the business now. I mean, I don't think you can get any better than that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. All right, silly question time, because you're a wrestling fan. You're a Mark, as they say. My mom duly named me Mark because she's like, oh, this guy's going to like wrestling forever. So if you could go to dinner with anybody that's ever, been on this earth, who would you go to dinner with?
If I can go to dinner with anybody that's been on this earth. That's you caught me at a stump here. Let's see.
Yeah, they're not always about wrestling.
No, yeah, they're not. But you know what? If I could go to dinner with one person, I would go to dinner with Frank Sinatra. And this is I'll explain why. Apparently, this is the legend of the JC family, so to say. I enjoy his music. That's first and foremost. But apparently, allegedly, my great grandfather fought him at a bar.
I did not expect that. All right.
No, dude, it's the most randomest fact I've ever been taught. Apparently, he was being, how some people can be, a little pushy with the woman at this bar. And my great grandfather got involved because he saw he was being a jerk to some woman, and long and behold, he broke his nose.
So we need a time travel machine, and I'm throwing myself right into this. It's going to be a table for four, essentially like WWE does, and we need all three parts because you've heard the story, but now we have to get your great grandfather and Frank Sinatra all around this table to tell what's really happened. It's unbelievable. It's
the most random yet funniest fact I've ever heard about a family member. And I'm just like, wow, man, he got to beat up Frank Sinatra? Okay, sure. I wish I could go into a time machine and just see what happened. And if he broke, the bar, if he slid Frank Sinatra across the bar with glasses.
Oh, like one of those old movies, slide him down the bars.
Yeah, like the old Western films and all that, the bar breakouts. But yeah, man, it's one of the biggest mind blows in all of my life when I was told that story. I'm like, okay, that's cool, I guess.
I love Frank, but I think I love Frank a little bit more now. But you know who I really love? Your great grandfather.
If I would have met him, I'm sure he was a great guy. But wow, man, that's the story you don't hear too often, right? Hopefully, that just got this episode a couple more views.
Right? That's normal people. You want to, somebody that's passed in your life or somebody that's really meant somebody. No, I want to go with Frank Sinatra to see if he got his ass kicked. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, so I'm eating my spaghetti and meatballs. So I'm like, so you knew my great grandfather? Oh man. Yeah.
So I brought up that you are good friends with the Cardinal, Nick Thompson. He essentially is the reason why we're connected tonight, and he's an amazing kid. He really is. If there's somebody that I see that knows this business in and out at such a young age and is going to run with it, it's going to be him. So kudos to both of you guys, kind of being a tag team essentially within itself. But he is the Cardinal. What bird name are you going to be to tag with him?
Oh man, if he's the Cardinal, I would be the Hawk. Because like a hawk, I can fly high, but I'm silent but deadly. Because you may think I'm a good guy. You may not see me coming. But then I'm ready to strike at any moment, and you won't know when.
Okay. He did want to tag with somebody named Blue Jay, right? Because he likes the Blue Jay better than the Hawk.
That is interesting. I have not heard that from him, and I'm going to talk to him about that probably after this.
Yeah, he said Blue Jay, and I'm like, whoa! Because I thought he was going to pick Hawk. I asked him essentially the same question, minus you. I'm like, if you had to pick somebody to be a tag team partner as a bird, what would you? He was like, Blue Jay, clearly. I'm like, whoa, all right.
What's funny is that him and I were born on the same exact day and the same exact year.
Wow.
So, yeah, it blew my mind when I discovered that. I was like, wait, you're born on August 27th in 1998? He's like, yeah. And he's like, when's your birthday? I'm like, well, that's my birthday, man. It's August 27th.
Yeah, that's my birthday. Did you guys get down to the times? Like, who's actually older then? If you both tell me you're born at 6:55 a.m., I'm going to just hang up on you. But I'm kidding.
No, so from what I've been told, I believe, I don't want to say like for sure, but I think he was born towards the afternoon. I was born at 5:55 in the morning, August 27th.
Oh, so you're the old man then. You're the old man of the team.
I'm the old man of the two. Yeah.
Stupid, silly question. But I throw it in every once in a while just because. The Mega Ball is up to $325 million. Besides paying your bills and this, that, or the other, giving family, what's the first thing you're going to do when you win that?
Man, I'm gonna buy some better commentary equipment and bring it.
I hear you there. I hear you there.
Give them that professional audio level, like WWE type, AEW type. Get some monitors, make us look even more professional than we already do.
I hear you there. Isn't it a struggle sometimes? I'm not knocking any organization to the mat because, listen, I know we all have budgets, this, that, or the other thing, but you go to a couple different ones, you're like, oh, wow, last week's wasn't as bad as what I thought.
You know, I've run into some situations when it comes down to the equipment, and I'm not knocking any company I work for. I love them all, and I'm grateful that they have me on board. Some of them, you know, the equipment situation, it's a bit much, you know. So, but if I had that money, I would definitely support the company by getting us better equipment, you know, and that's just who I am.
Maybe we should watch because they're going to probably start saying, okay, you two, start bringing your own equipment then. If you're, you know, we'll have to actually buy traveling equipment then.
No, yeah. That's like, all right, you know, no, I love all you guys. Thank you for having a little bit of equipment in the first place. Thank you very much for that.
Yes. Touche. I agree with what JC said. I love everybody I work with.
Oh, no, it's true.
No, it is true. No, I agree. All right, the hard question, but you said the other one was hard. I know you forgot, but wrestling continues to change. You know, good, bad sometimes, ugly, amazing sometimes. You know, locker room stuff. I don't know if you get to the locker room as much, but what's something that you, in your eyes, see that if you could just whoosh, wipe it right away, what still needs to leave from wrestling? Because there's still a stigma around it sometimes that the whole general public doesn't understand.
Well, to me, the thing that I would wash away is probably, this is going to sound, I'm sure it'll not sound too odd, but social media in wrestling, I would use it only to promote shows and promote characters, but having characters, you know, kind of show their outside life and not sticking to, what do they call it, kayfabe. That's what kind of diminishes the product. And I know I probably sound like an old soul, but if I could wipe away the social media, because not only for wrestling, but just for, you know, in general, because social media is really stressful for people.
It is.
Having to keep up with, you know, not only appearances in regular everyday life, but appearances on social media. Because everybody thinks that social media is going to boost their life up, but it's not always the case. I've seen terrible things, you know, on social media that's taken people's lives. And, you know, it's just, it's terrible that's what social media has done to everybody. That we have to be, you know, something that we're not in order to feel accomplished. But for wrestling wise, I'd say take social media away, because keep the kayfabe, keep the story, keep the fans thinking that this is who you are. You know what I mean?
No, I completely. This is stuck. Not a lot stuck from me in college, by the way, JC, but this is stuck. JC, social media is amazing because it connects us all.
Right.
But
Absolutely.
social media is horrible because it connects us all as well. You know, there's no reason I should, and I'm using me, and I'll use you as who I'm going to compare myself against. Oh my God, you got the call, and we'll get into some of your matches that you called, but I'm just throwing this out there. Hey, and he's in my brain right now. You got to call a Ray Fenix match. Oh man, I'm so jealous of JC because he got to call a match. I never got to call this match. What can I do to make him look bad so I get to call the next Ray Fenix match? There shouldn't be a reason that I should compare myself to you to me, because we're both doing what we love. If I'm calling a Bob Smith match, I should be happy. You should be happy because we're in the business doing what we love, right? There should not be jealousy on that. Absolutely. Social media has really turned everyday life into a competition. Like, what are they doing that I'm not? As you were saying, who is he calling who I'm not? What can I do to be better than this guy? Or, you know, why do I have to throw shade at this guy in order to get where I want to be? You know, it's just not the way people should be thinking. You know, everybody should be happy for one another, because if they're doing the right thing and if they're doing something that makes them happy,
And that's all that matters. You know what I mean?
Agreed. One more kind of serious question, and I do want to get into some of the matches that you called. I want you to tell a couple stories about something that you've really loved, but what's the best advice that you've got since working in the wrestling business now?
The best advice that I got and that I could give to anybody is
twofold.
Just keep learning, because no matter where you go, there's always going to be learning at hand. You think you may know it all. Once you've hit the big time or once you've gotten to a promotion you've always wanted to get to, but that's not the case. There's always something to be learned. Even if you're out of college like me, you think you got it all down. You think you got the shot sheets. You think you got the cut sheets. You think you got all this. But no, there's always something to be learned. Go up to talent. Learn about their characters. Learn about the moves. Learn about the names of the moves that they want you to put over. Because especially in commentary, if you don't know the character, then what are you doing behind the desk?
Exactly.
You have to study. Study. Learn from the greats. Watch the modern day product to keep up with the times and always evolve. Because if you don't evolve, you're going to be stuck at one level for your entire career. So always learn, always study the greats from the past, but also learn from the present. There's always something to be learned. That's my biggest piece of advice.
That's the greatest advice. And that goes, if you're a wrestling fan and you listen to this for wrestling, awesome. Do exactly that. But if you're in communications and you want to be football or you want to be baseball or anything like that, go back and watch like the Joe Bucks. And I know people are like, oh, Mark, you're saying Joe Buck. Listen, Joe Buck's good. I don't care. He's biased as all hell. But just go back and listen to the way they call games and like this and that. Find wrestling, because they used to do this. And it's a hard find out on the internet when they would broadcast it just on the radio. Listen to one of those shows. It's unbelievable, because then your mind knows exactly what you're doing, but all you're getting is the commentators telling you what's going on in the ring. It's really cool. Have you ever done anything like that?
Radio wise, no, but I gotta say, I give so many props to those who do, because the people that are listening over the radio, especially to a wrestling match, their job is not only challenging but fun, because they have to paint the picture for the people that are listening, because they're not seeing it, they're just hearing audio. So much props to them, and that skill is just unbelievable if they got it.
Yeah.
Truly.
How far back did you go in your let's say tape study, essentially, but in your tape study of listening to commentators? And I know you brought up like Gorilla, but did you go back any farther, like Gordon Soley or anybody like that?
So I can't quite remember the commentary team, but I would watch Bruno Sammartino and superstar Billy Graham.
Nice.
And sometimes they didn't even have commentary back then, but I can't quite this dynamic duo, but they were great. The 70s is my earliest I've ever gone. Okay. Because I feel that was when, that's even before the golden days, but Bruno Sammartino and his legendary title run, yeah, man, that's one of the earliest I've ever gone. But I've studied also backstage interviews as well. Like you mentioned before, Tony Schiavone, who's fantastic. I mean, this guy's been doing it for how many years?
50 almost now, yeah.
Yeah, Schiavone is the man, dude. But as far as other tape studies, like I said, Gorilla Monsoon, Jesse Ventura, Bobby the Brain Heenan, Tony Schiavone, Mike Tenay. Oh my goodness, this guy's name is eluding me. The guy with the ponytail from WCW. I don't know.
Ponytail, WCW. Part of the Four Horsemen. Mongo.
Oh yes, Matt. Yeah, Mongo. Right.
Okay.
Yep. Him. He's okay.
He's okay.
He's not terrible.
His announcing career was better than his in-ring career.
Yeah.
And that's me saying it, so don't throw any hate at JC. But yeah.
Hey, but also Joey Styles, man. Everybody sleeps on Joey Styles.
Yeah.
When he said, "Oh my God," you're saying, "Oh my God."
Yeah.
So, yeah. Whenever you see me calling a crazy spot, there was this one spot where I'm going to say, I think it was Matt Vertigo and KTB. They were in we do show at the Middlesex County Fair over in New Jersey every year. And it's truly cool because the foundation of wrestling was built at carnivals and at fairs.
Yep.
So being part of a fair is just awesome. But anyway, as I was saying, he bounced off the ropes and put Vertigo through like 2 or 3 tables. And I was like, oh my God, it's just that's the inner Joey Styles in me, and then I put a little JR in there. Like, what are we witnessing here? These are 2 human beings,
right?
Being put through a table. The hatred for one another runs so deep that they're willing to dissect each other's anatomy.
Deep JR. Nice. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, man. That's JC, man. That's take everybody's style, but I make it my own. So yeah, man.
Do you keep a list of all of your matches that you've announced, and you kind of grade yourself? Do you go back and listen to them?
Oh, I listen to all my stuff and figure out what I could do better. And I even send them to people that I work with, more experienced commentators, and ask for their feedback and what I could do better. And of course, I always reach out to the talent because I would like to know if they're satisfied with how I called their match. Right. And if they're not satisfied, then I'm not satisfied. And I ask them, what can I do better? What did I do wrong? Did I get this move right? Because everybody's got a nickname for a move sometimes, and sometimes you get them mixed up.
Yeah,
it's just the little bit of mistake that you could work on. There's always something to improve on. So I always ask for feedback from everybody.
So what if you have a top match, or maybe a couple top matches that you'd like to talk about that maybe we can find out on YouTube or something like that, wherever, IWTV, Title Match, any places that are out there that we can find that we can listen to you? What are some of your yes, I nailed that one matches?
Okay, so one of my funnest matches to call was, believe it or not, the Cardinal Nick Thompson. We're going to talk about it.
Oh, now we're putting him over. Now it's all about Nick. It's his second part of Spotlight. No, I'm kidding.
Cardinal Nick Thompson versus the Duke of Danger at Spartan Championship Wrestling. That match was magic, not only because of the commentary, but because the action in the ring was superb. The crowd reactions were electric. It was insane. That was one of the biggest pops I've heard in my career for Nick Thompson.
He's great. He really is. We'll keep putting him over because he's amazing.
Yeah, but that one was tremendous. There was one that I called with Fred Rosser, a.k.a. Darren Young from WWE. He had faced Sean Donovan, if you're familiar with him.
I know him, yep.
Yep, they had a huge street fight for the Coliseum Championship, which is the new championship over at Spartan Championship Wrestling. And man, what a show. Those two hard-hitting, just phenomenal talents, and I can't believe I was honored to call that match.
With Fred, that's awesome.
Yeah, there was another funny match. If you're familiar with ECW, Big Vito.
Yep.
He's awesome, man. I got to see him freaking wrestle in a dress, which was I didn't expect that to be on my bucket list, but you can add that one to the bucket list. Now it's fulfilled. And so he was a great guy, really cool guy. Got to take a picture with him. Great talent. Him, V. Daniel, and Nick Thompson took on, I believe it was Abed Adonis, who's another great talent that I came up with. Joe Cruel, and the other name eludes me because it was so long ago. But it was a great match, man. So much fun. It was outside on a summer day, right before the rain, which was fantastic.
As soon as the match was over, boom, the clouds opened up.
Oh, dude, you're not kidding. It was raining. It was raining as soon as that match ended, and I'm so glad it happened after the match and not before the match.
Yeah. Have you called in weather yet? Have you called anything in weather yet outside?
Oh, yeah. Well, as I said, we've worked at the Middlesex County Fair multiple times throughout the years, and sometimes it's a downpour.
Yeah.
And sometimes so much show, it cancels our shows, unfortunately.
And that's a bummer for us because we're marks and the fans as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't control the weather. I always said the easiest job in the world is being a weatherman because you can get the weather wrong and still get paid.
Yeah, millions, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So I mean, they've definitely put a damper on things when it comes to my shows occasionally, but thankfully that hasn't always been the case.
So as we trudge forward, as we get ready to close out 2023, what are goals for you, like 2024, and then even long term? I mean, do you want to kick Cole out when he retires? Is there? I hate saying, do you want to pick a company, but would you like to be able to pick your company to go to, or do you want to stay indie? Because hey, there's nothing wrong with staying indie as well.
Well, of course I want to be on television. I'd be lying if I said I'd be. You know, that's definitely a goal of mine. That's the whole reason why I went to college, so that I have the degree in sportscasting, so I can advance my career even beyond the independent scene. And that's not to rip at the independent scene at all. I love the independent scene. There's so much that you see on the independent scene that you don't see on television.
Right.
But besides that, man, yeah, I want to get out there more. I want to do more promotions. I want more bookings. That's the goal every year, is to get out there more. I've been in Pennsylvania. I've been in Jersey. I've but those have really been my two territories so far. I want to get to New York. I want to get to Connecticut. I'm willing to travel. I'll say it again. Nick Thompson, he went to Georgia. I'd love to go to Georgia. I'd love to do anything I can to just get JC out there more. And if that leads to television somewhere down the line, and hopefully it does, I'd love to be on television. And I can't replace Michael Cole. Michael Cole's just too good. I can't replace him. But if he does retire, I'd love to fill in the slot.
Knocking at the door. Hey, Trips, I'm right here.
Exactly. Yeah. If I had to pick a company, I don't want to say I'd pick a company, because I'd be grateful for the opportunity, no matter who it is. Impact Wrestling, AEW, WWE, NWA. I know they're having a little debacle right now because of a certain thing that happened at a show. But that's
that white powder gets you every time.
yeah. When I heard about it, I was just like, wait, this was actually on a wrestling show.
It was, and I watched that pay-per-view, but to me, it was so quick. I'm like, stupid spot, but whatever. Like, we did the weekly podcast the following night, and I'm like, didn't hear anything of it. Apparently, nobody watched it live. Everybody watched it on replay, because then the following week is when we had to do you believe that this spot did it? I'm like, I saw it, but I was just like, But then it got blown up so much, and yeah.
All it takes, man, is that one spot that it gets discovered after the fact that it was live.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure CW wasn't watching it live.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, man, even if NWA was interested, I'd love to work with them. It's just a matter of getting out there and continuing to live out my dream and wanting to accomplish it. I'm motivated to do it. I've done the work to do it, and I'm willing to do more to get to where I need to be.
So one of my final questions all the time before I let you guys do your shtick and tell us where you are and you're going to sell your merch and everything, because you do have merch. I want you to tell me the dream match that you would have loved to call or book your own, but I want to know where it's at. I want to know the stipulation in the match, and you clearly have to tell me the people in the match.
Okay, so I've always thought of this, because it's funny you say dream match, because I have worked with a good friend, a company that goes by the name of Dream Match Wrestling, where they put together these dream matches on a poster. So my biggest dream match would be the Macho Man Randy Savage versus Rey Mysterio in Mexico, hair versus mask.
Ooh.
That would be my favorite match of all time. And if I got to call that, all the better. I mean, these two have never worked in the ring together, I believe.
They might have crossed paths in WCW.
Okay.
But I don't know if they've worked, but yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I'm sure they were in the locker room and stuff. I've never seen a video of them in the ring together in a match.
Yeah, I haven't either.
Yeah. So, I mean, that would be just, I can imagine the promos leading up to that match. And the action, of course, in ring. I mean, Macho Man's hair is, that's his signature.
That's some of his shtick. It really is.
Yeah, and Rey Mysterio's mask, of course. I mean, the mask is the biggest symbol in all of Lucha Libre. So, yeah, man, that would be a spectacle. That'd be one heck of a dream match.
Never thought about that match, but now I want to see it. Maybe that's going to be on one of my wrestling pay-per-views as I'm sitting at home tomorrow doing nothing. So, yeah, playing video games. So we'll make that happen.
Absolutely, man.
All right, JC, tell us where you're going to be if you want to promote some of your upcoming events so where people can listen to you, if they're streaming or anything like that, your socials so they can follow you, and then, sell your merch.
Okay, yeah. So you want to come see me live? I'm going to be at UWA Elite. Our next show is a little bit away. It's not going to be until March. That's going to be March 23rd. It's going to be Setting the Standard. We just closed out the 2023 season, but don't miss out because 2024 is only going to be better and better and better. And then you can catch me at Spartan Championship Wrestling. I don't know when we're going to run that show again, but I know that they were talking about something in January. If you guys follow me at j.c2927 on Instagram, JC Commentary 27 on Twitter, I will keep you posted on everything Spartan Championship Wrestling, UWA Elite, and Azteca de Lucha Libre. Yeah, those are my companies that I work for. Come meet me. I have a t-shirt out right now on Pro Wrestling Tees, prowrestlingtees.com/j.c commentary. Oh, wait, no, excuse me, JC commentary, no dot. And yeah, that's my stuff. And of course, if you meet me at the shows at my merch table, I have 8x10s that I'd love to sign for you. And you can come get your hands on the first ever JC rookie trading card. I'd love to sign that too for you.
I saw those on your social media. Those look pretty sweet.
Oh, yeah. Thanks, man. Yeah, I actually had taken that picture from Frontier Pro Wrestling over in Long Pond, Pennsylvania.
Yep, I know Frontier. I know Frontier rather well, in fact, but we'll leave it at that, yeah.
So, yeah, that's all my stuff, and I appreciate you guys coming to listen to the Can Crushers, and this was awesome. Thank you so much, Mark, for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Did I miss anything else that you wanted to announce or tell us or anything like that?
I think that's the most of it. Yeah, no, I think we're good on this. So.
All right. Guys, once again, JC stopping by, talking wrestling, letting us know what he's doing and everything here on Can Crusher. So, JC, thanks once again.
Hey, thank you, Mark.
What is up, Cheeseheads? This is the Gorgonzola Rock and Roller, the Sultan of Swiss, the amazing Asiago, your favorite part of the charcuterie board. I am the cheese, and you're listening to the Can Crushers podcast, one of my favorite podcasts, and I hope you'll listen again.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, Justyn Caballero, the king of commentary, JC. And man, don't announcers, ring announcers, commentators just know? I'm going to gloat a little bit. Some of our favorite wrestlers, Macho Man, Bret Hart, we know. We do. We see it. We get to analyze closer than anybody else besides maybe a referee in the ring of what's going on. And we understand, man, am I really making us look good, JC, that we are just in the trenches of watching wrestling? No, JC holds a special place in my heart now. Fun interview. Just finding about, JC's going to be a scientist, for the love of God. And then he's like, I love wrestling so much. And the people that he ran into down at Full Sail, I'm jealous. I am jealous. But, hey, we're both, as we said, there's nothing to be jealous about. I'm doing what I love. He's doing what he loves. It's just wrestling in our blood. And I hope sometime in the near future, maybe JC and I can call a couple matches together, hang out, dish some storylines to all of you. Maybe IWTV, maybe Title Match Network, maybe YouTube. Who knows? You just never know when we could run into each other and collab. But this was fun. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did, learning about just what essentially... And I'm grouping us together all the time, but let's just keep this about JC. What JC sees and what his goal is in the wrestling world. Not to take over for Michael Cole, but to fill that seat. Remember, just because you're trash doesn't mean you can't do great things. It's called a garbage can, not a garbage cannot. Make sure you tell your loved ones you love them, because you never know.